Am I losing my mind? Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Sam. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. I am so happy to have you here again with me this week and in the new year. I promise I am coming back relaxed, rested, renewed, refreshed, and ready to talk about more fat acceptance nonsense. So I hope you're down for all of the shenanigans that this year will hold for us. If you are new here and this is the first time you are seeing my face, welcome. I make weekly videos dissecting internet nonsense, so if you're into that type of thing or you like today's video, I hope that you'll consider liking and subscribing. It really helps out the channel and make sure that you never miss another upload from me. Is there like a fat acceptance bingo card going around that I was just unaware of? Because I was fully not prepared for Oprah to admit that she was taking a weight loss drug, which we talked about last week if you haven't seen it. But I also was not prepared for airlines to announce that they were going to give fat people an entire row of seats for free, something we'll talk about a little bit later. I was wholly unprepared for what we're about to talk about today, and that is an OG fat activist influencer announcing unironically that she cannot wipe her own booty, and doing so while tearing down another fat woman. Yeah, no, I'm not kidding. This actually happened. Let's take a look at Bootygate 2024 together and see if we can figure out what is going on. First, let's take a look at an Instagram story from a very angry FatGirlFlow, because that is what set this whole thing off.
The real tea is that nobody likes a pick-me. You don't need it. You don't need it in your life. The ableism, the fat phobia is tired, okay? There are so many ways to make jokes, to be funny, to do so many interesting things online, and being just a piece of shit, isn't it? It's 2024. Ableism isn't cute. Punching down isn't cute. You shouldn't be ashamed for losing weight. Of course you shouldn't be ashamed for losing weight. You can do whatever the you want with your body. You should be ashamed because you're an ableist. Don't be ableist. Don't be ableist.
Okay, so what we just witnessed together was a very angry Carissa coming online to express that anger at another influencer whose post said, "Full transparency, I have no remorse or shame for being public about my weight loss. 2 years ago, I couldn't wipe my own ass. That's the tea." That is the singular post that sent Carissa over the edge. The one that sent her into a blind rage where she called another influencer, another woman, hold on, we're almost there, another fat woman on the internet, a pick-me bitch and a piece of shit. But even that one story wasn't enough for Carissa, because she continued on to share multiple textbook-length stories about why she chose to not stay in her lane, stating that it was her duty to say something when influencers were harming people, and listing the ins and outs of being a plus-size influencer in 2024. Because she gets to dictate that for everyone, don't you know? And I just want to stop to read the last two bits of this post. That plus-size influencers should create supportive community spaces, as well as align the ways they make their money with their values. Keep that in your brain, because I promise it's going to be relevant at some point, but right now, we gotta focus on the fact that Carissa is still raging.
I have had several people message me and say something along the lines of like, oh, when I couldn't wipe, that was when I started getting really serious about weight loss. Okay. I have no comment on you losing weight because you weren't yelling, "I couldn't wipe my ass," to anyone, right? I want to ask though, if you had told a friend that and you said, "I have to lose weight because I can't wipe my ass," and your friend had earnestly looked at you and said, "So why do you have to lose weight? You know, there are other options to help you with that, and there are stretches you can do to make that easier on you." What would have been different there? Like, what have we been taught and what can we put into the world so that it's different?
Now, I wanted to include this clip of this story that she did after her original story because I haven't seen a lot of people talk about it. But to me, this reads like people have seen her original story where she's flying off the handle, and likely the people who are seeing this happen in real time are her followers. And so now she's responding to those people who have messaged her saying, hey, you know, actually that was a turning point for me as well when stuff like that started happening and I couldn't take care of like easy daily tasks. Like that was kind of a wake-up call that I needed to make a change and start implementing self-care. And Carissa's response to her own audience was kind of an FU as well. I also find it very fascinating, and again, Carissa's been in the fat acceptance, fat liberation space for a very long time, that she actively admitted that if her friend came to her with these very valid concerns about their own health, she would ask them, well, don't you know that there are stretches you can do to make that easier? Why do you have to lose weight? And what she doesn't seem to realize is that that is a horrible thing to say to your friend because it's a deflection and a defense mechanism that you're using to A, make your friend feel bad for wanting to lose weight when they have very valid health concerns, and B, to make yourself feel comfortable. That's not being a good friend, trying to dissuade them from something that will help themselves to make you feel better. And not only that, but she's doing it while also telling her friend that they're being ableist and fat phobic. So essentially gaslighting them into feeling bad about taking care of themselves. How do we not see how problematic that is? Like, she had no shame saying that that is the approach that she would take. Do you see the mental gymnastics that go into this, like, line of reasoning and logic? Like, your friend has their own very real, very valid health concerns. But in Carissa world, it's all about making sure she feels comfortable. And the truth is, Carissa could have just left this whole thing alone. She could have just silently unfollowed this person who is now losing weight. She could have just moved on with her life the way that most people would if they start to disagree with what an influencer is doing. But instead, she chose to double down into her own insanity and be a mean girl to not only this other plus-size influencer, but also her own audience, which is an interesting choice in 2024. But don't worry, Carissa's not done yet. She clearly has a lot to say on this topic, so let's look at another one.
I just want to reiterate, today and every day, shit, I'll do it every day if you need me to, that no fucking cares if someone loses weight. What most people in the body liberation, fat liberation community care about is that you don't harm anyone on your way to whatever goals you have. So being ableist, being fat phobic, being just, you know, a jerk about bodies in general, that's harmful. We care about that. You can do whatever the fuck you want with your body. Just stop saying shit that's harmful.
Now, this clip was worth inserting into the video for me because we see Carissa saying it's her goal as part of the fat liberation movement to not harm people as she reaches her goals, right? That's essentially what she's saying. If you're a plus-size influencer, you shouldn't actively harm people to get to where you want to go, i.e. making money, being an influencer, etc. But despite saying those words out loud multiple times in multiple stories, she still fails to realize that her own response, her words, her actions, her angry off-the-wall Instagram stories were all made to attack another fat woman, another plus-size creator. Like, am I losing my mind? Did we not just watch her cuss out another plus-size woman in the name of not harming anyone? Like, is that what happened, or is that not what happened? I feel like I'm being gaslit here, because that's very clearly what she just did. But okay, in the name of not harming anyone, I guess you're right. And then, to top it all off, to put the cherry on top of this situation, Carissa went ahead and had the audacity to tag her own blog and affiliate links for plus size hygiene tips in the same Instagram story. I swear you cannot make these things up. Now, in addition to Carissa's unhinged Instagram stories, her partner Juliana also took offense to this and decided to write a blog post. And that post starts like this. Have you ever seen a social media post that punched you right in the gut? Another body positive influencer turned anti-fat mean girl is out here serving lukewarm takes in the new year. I'm not shocked. It feels like something is missing here, because the only person serving mean girl energy in this situation is Carissa. She started these unhinged Instagram stories calling a very innocent person who only posted that they were unashamed about their weight loss a pick-me bitch and a fat-phobic piece of shit. I don't know about y'all, but I feel like that's the mean girl energy they're looking for. But don't worry, the blog continues. This is happening with frequency now. I think it's because we're all aging into our 30s, and as our bones creak and muscles tense, we're discovering our internalized ableism. This call out to hitting your 30s is intriguing to me because it's the thing we are always talking about here on the channel. My YouTube colleagues are talking about it. But it's interesting to see them actually admit it in writing on this blog, right? They're narrating for us that the body is essentially functioning like that of a much older person who did not try to stay mobile. The description of bones creaking and muscles tensing is unusual when it's paired with them being in their 30s. Do they not see that? Your body should not be causing you that much pain or that much shame or that much embarrassment in your 30s. And if it is through something that can be fixed, through your own version of being healthy, shouldn't you work towards that? Like, to me, that doesn't seem like a bad thing. If you can fix the thing that is ailing you, why wouldn't you do it? Shouldn't you take it? To me, it reads like Carissa being upset about someone who has two options, right? They can either choose to use a wheelchair or go to physical therapy to learn to walk again, right? The doctors think maybe there's an option where they can have that mobility, but they're gonna have to work towards it. And the person chooses to work towards it and learns to walk again. That person being excited about being able to walk again is not denigrating people who use wheelchairs because they're excited about their own situation. And maybe they even have a newfound understanding of the people who have to use the wheelchairs. It's not wrong to be excited about your own circumstance changing for your own health. And that is exactly what happened here. Now, I feel like when I started investigating, because I needed to know who this person was who sent Carissa off into this blind rage that we all just witnessed, I was fully expecting to find some influencer who had been super fat and was now super thin, who was using their platform to promote horrible things like fad diets or toxic teas or, things like that, whose Instagram was full of before and after photos, all of the things that would set a fat activist off the way we just saw Carissa going off. But that's not what I found at all. Rosie is a lovely creator. She's a size 20, doing fashion hauls for plus size people and sharing that she wants to be open about her weight loss because she wants to be transparent about her use of Mounjaro to aid her. And she also just wants to share that weight loss doesn't have to be bad and it doesn't have to be torturous. That is what sent Carissa into all of what we just saw. That is what made Juliana write a blog post. A blog post that continued to say, others have chosen to use their mobility challenges as motivation to rekindle that flame with Mr. Shame. A rose by any other name still smells like you think less of fat and disabled people, folks. Where did Rosie ever say she looks down on fat or disabled people? If anyone was going to understand their plights as plus size women on the internet, it's Rosie. But now she can't relate to you at all because this is the way you chose to respond. And those are the names you chose to call her. And those are the assumptions you chose to make. It's looking a lot like Carissa and Juliana are coming from a place of defensiveness. And defensiveness, as we know, if we've read any Brené Brown, I've read all of them, it's a self-protection mechanism. It comes from insecurity within yourself. That's what makes you feel like you need to be defensive. According to Psychology Today, signs of defensiveness include feeling like you're being attacked, speaking condescendingly, and shifting focus away from yourself. Well, Juliana and Carissa are the only ones here who have checked all of those boxes, but have also been touting themselves as though they're standing on some sort of moral high ground, something that Rosie never did, which again is intriguing because there's absolutely zero self-awareness in this whole situation from these two people who are so angry. Now, let me draw you back to the two text posts that Carissa made because I promised they would be relevant. So let's walk through that together real quick. One said, when influencers say things to a community that they make money off of that is cruel and harmful, I will always say something. If you are not truly in community with other fat people, you cannot possibly know the shame and sadness that we work so hard in supporting one another to overcome. Do you want to know how Carissa has built this fat community to learn about the sadness and shame that they need to overcome? Well, she did it by making money off of them. That's right. Carissa runs her very own fat camp, where you can pay up to $2,200 for lodging, meals, yoga, a pool party, crafts, and community building activities, as well as a swag bag. She also partners with a photographer to photograph fat camp activities, making even more money off her attendees by selling the photos in a calendar. And the best part of all of this, again, you can't make this stuff up, is that she runs a fat camp at a facility that is not even fully ADA accessible. Just let that sink in. Carissa and her partner really thought they were doing something here. And maybe they did, but I don't think it's what they intended. Not only did they announce to the entire world that they can't wipe themselves, they also described their own 30-something-year-old bodies as creaky and tense, which is them admitting that there are indeed complications that come with being extremely overweight. And this isn't the first time they've documented them. There are old posts from Carissa and Juliana talking about immobility, not being able to walk, not being able to breathe while walking, chronic pain, and a whole host of other problems. So they're just solidifying that for the world, that there are actually complications that have less to do with being 30-something and more to do with being extremely overweight and potentially immobile due to that weight and nothing else. These are things that can be fixed either through sheer will or with medical intervention, and neither of those are bad if they're done correctly. And what's even better is that Rosie was actually proving that point, right? You don't have to be stick skinny to just start improving yourself and improving your quality of life. She went from a size 24 to a size 20 and is just talking about how much mobility that's given back to her. She's using a walking pad and focusing on mobility and just moving more. All things that are not torturous and perfectly acceptable ways for her to take care of her own body. She did not do anything that deserved getting this much vitriol aimed her way. Which leads me to my final point, which is that once again, Carissa and her partner proved that the most hateful, spiteful, mean girls in these conversations on the internet are the fat activists themselves. And that likely stems from their own internal turmoil of knowing that they need to do something to improve their own quality of life, but realizing that they can't because they need to remain fat to continue making money off of other fat people. It's kind of a crappy place to find yourself, and we've talked about that a million times on this channel, the way that it happens with Lizzo and other people who need to sell how amazing it is to be fat so that they can keep making money. In my opinion, that's the reason they both got so riled up. It has nothing to do with ableism and everything to do with their own insecurities. And we can see that because everything they said was sheer projection. All right, that is all I have for you today on this topic. So at this point, I'm curious to know how you're feeling about Bootygate 2024, because I have to be honest, I did not think we would be here talking about people not being able to wipe their own booties and them announcing it themselves online. Like, I feel like we've entered a new realm of reality. So you'll have to let me know. Had you heard about this? Did you see Carissa's Instagram stories as they were going up? Were you watching her rage in real life? I feel like you will have to let me know because it was wild to see. How do you feel about their description of their bodies as they're entering their 30s? Did you sort of catch that? They were describing themselves as though they were much older? Had you heard of Rosie before? Because I'll be honest, I hadn't, but I'm certainly going to follow her now. And please answer my first question of the day, which was, is there a fat activist bingo card that I am unaware of? Because I'm gonna need one of those. This is wild, and we've only just started 2024. As always, you'll have to let me know, and you know I love reading your comments, so please leave those opinions for me down there. And for all my introvert friends who do not feel comfortable leaving your opinion in an internet comment section, I see you, I feel you. Go ahead and do an emoji of your choice related to Bootygate 2024, because I feel like you could come up with some fun ones, and I love seeing your emojis just as much as I love reading those opinions, so please go ahead and leave those down there for me as well. Thank you all so much for being here with me again this week. I will see you in the next one. Bye!